Hey everyone, welcome back to Wix Fix. I hope you're having a wonderful day. The day that this video gets released, it's going to be on Christmas. And so if you celebrate Christmas, I assume you're not going to be watching this video on the day it releases because you'll be busy spending time with your family. But I also know that not all my audience celebrates Christmas, so I wanted to make sure we have a video on the channel today. One thing I will mention is that this video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a Wix Studio web design video. However, I'm not going to do any cuts unless there's like a huge mistake that's going to make this video super long. I might cut that out, but for the most part, I just kind of want to see if you guys like this content with no cuts in it. So if I run into like little minor mistakes, I'll try to fix it live, or I guess, or not cut out the mistake, I guess I should say, instead of yeah, see, this intro is very scuffed a little bit, but you kind of get the idea. But the point of today's video is I'm going to kind of show you guys how to kind of take a Figma design and build it in Wix Studio, and I think that's going to be really cool. I found this little Figma web design online somewhere, and we're going to be building it inside of Wix Studio. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to note here is that this artboard that we're dealing with is on a 1440 width. So we kind of have two routes we can go with this inside of Wix Studio. So I'm going to switch over to Wix Studio, and I'm going to hide my browser really quickly. But as you can see, the editing size right here is set to 1280. But the Figma design was 1440, so we either can do two things. Firstly, we can change the editing size here in Wix Studio to match our Figma design, and that should make things a little bit easier for us. However, personally, I prefer editing on the 1280, especially when recording YouTube videos, just because when I open up other panels and stuff like this, it doesn't overlap my artboard that I'm trying to build on. So personally, I do like the 1280. Now, what I will say is, if we head back over to Figma, the second way we can get around this is, let's just say, for example, we grab this features page that we're going to be designing or building in Wix Studio. I'm going to copy a version of it over here. And now we need to make this 1280. So what I'm going to do is grab just a simple rectangle. We'll draw something like this. We'll set the width to 1280. Then we'll grab this features box and we'll align it with one of the corners. Fantastic. And then we'll press K. And that's going to, in Figma, that's going to bring up our scale tool. So it's going to, anything that we have selected, it's going to basically keep it the same dimensions as we scale down. And we're just going to scale this down until it hits about 1280. I think I went a little bit too low. I'm also looking over here as I'm dragging it down, and it seemed to have messed it up. So let me zoom in a little bit here. Oh, and I realized it didn't switch over to the scale tool properly. I think that's what was messing it up. But let's go ahead and drag this down. And typically, if it's close enough to this, it will kind of just snap to it. So that's what I'm kind of hoping to do. But right now it's sitting at like 1280. There you go. Oh, I just saw it. There we go. That'll do. But you kind of get the idea. I will say, for some reason that took me a lot longer than it usually does, but that's kind of a way to get around it in Figma. If you want to edit in 1280, you can do it that way. But in Wix Studio, I've of course already made the header and the footer just to save us a little bit of time, and we can just go ahead and get started on the hero section here. So for the left hand side, I kind of want to make this all one section actually. So what we're first going to need to do is actually create two rows. So in Wix Studio, I can just select this option right here and split this into two rows. Fantastic. We're also going to want to make the section quite a bit taller. Let's maybe make it like 900 for now. We can of course adjust this a little bit later. And I am going to drag this down a little bit so that the main part of the hero section has a little bit more space for the images and text. Another thing that I will mention is I want to add, between the rows, I want to add a little bit of space. So we're going to do 5.6 VW. And then for the section itself, I also want to add like maybe 5.6 VW to the sides, which I think, there we go. And then we'll go ahead and apply that to all sides. Great. Okay. So for this top section over here, we're going to want to have the image, and we're going to want to have some text. So in a similar way, we're going to want to split this into 2 grids as well. So we can easily just split vertically. And now we have 2 grid cells whenever it loads. Perfect. And if we grab the section here, we can actually add maybe like a 5.6 VW gap here as well. I think that looks pretty good. For this right-hand side, let's go ahead and add an image. So go to media. I've already uploaded all of the content that we're going to be using in today's tutorial. At least I believe so. And what are we looking for? We're looking for something that looks like that. Okay. And I believe it's this one here. So we'll just add this to the page. We'll place this in the correct grid cell, and we will just center it. Great. Over here from the left hand side, we're going to want to have a heading 1. If you're not familiar, these heading elements, you have heading 1 through 6. And you also have paragraph 1 through 3. And you can set these up, or the styling for these. You can set the styling up for these here in the site styles. And under typography, you can see heading 1 through 6 and paragraph 1 through 3. So we have all of these that we've already pre-designed. You can also set up your website colors, which you can see I've already kind of created our site theme here. It kind of matches the colors from the design. But let's go back up to add, and we're going to add a heading 1. You're always going to want one heading 1 per page on your website. You don't want anything, you don't want more than one on any page because that can hurt your SEO. But a good practice is to typically just have one heading 1 on your page and make it kind of like the main text at the top, typically. But what I'm going to do is literally just copy this text here. We'll head back over and we'll paste it in. That did not paste how I thought. So I'm going to copy this text. And I'm going to paste it. Paste it. Okay. What I might end up having to do is dragging this one off to the side on another screen for myself. And in here, I'll just type it out manually. Alrighty. I think that looks pretty good. Underneath that, we are going to have a paragraph element. So we'll just grab this paragraph 1, place it here. And because it's a paragraph and obviously copying and pasting doesn't really seem to be working, I'm not going to type an entire paragraph for this tutorial. But underneath that, we are going to have some buttons. So actually, I already have this stack up here in my header. I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to paste it down here. Place it right about there. And I want to switch these. So I believe if I grab just this one, I can reorder it by pressing that little option there. And then for this text, we're gonna expand it out a little bit because the text will change from sign in to contact sales. Perfect. And for the most part, this is the section for the hero. So we can go ahead and move on down here to where it's going to show like the different logos from trusted partners. To do this, what we're going to do is we're going to add a container. We'll just add this one here. Let's go ahead and stretch it when it fully adds it. Perfect. Oop. There we go. Let's remove the background color and we're going to add a CSS grid. For this, I just want 2 columns. So we're going to do 2 by 1 and we'll add like 150 pixel gap here and we'll switch this over to a responsive value. Alrighty. For this left-hand side, I'm just going to copy this paragraph text here. We're going to paste it down here. We'll make sure that it's in the correct grid cell. We'll send it to the left. And I'm going to type in this text that says, trusted by thousands thousand companies in the world. Okay. And for this text, I'm going to set the response behavior from scale proportionately to hug. And that's basically going to get rid of all this extra space here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Then we can grab this container. We'll select this column and we'll set this to maximum content. And that's going to get rid of all of that extra space there. For this right-hand column, what I want to do is just add a simple repeater. So we're going to go to quick add repeater. We'll drag this out. And once it's fully added, just like the container, we will stretch it. And for this, we are going to want 4 items per row. So we'll go ahead and do that here. We'll also add an item. And inside of these items, let's just remove the background color. And inside of the items, let's go ahead and add the logo. So we'll go to our media and just find our logo real quick. I think we got this one right here. Hopefully I can change the okay, I can't change the color because these are SVGs. But for now, let's just add the black background and we'll just go ahead and I guess deal with it for now. If I was a little bit more prepared, I would have made black versions of the logos, but I did not do that. I apologize. But we'll go ahead and change out these logos really quickly. So we got Airtable, Notion. We need to have MailChimp. And then we're looking for Gumroad. Right there, perfect. And it isn't working. So we'll leave this one as is. Just for fun, maybe we can round the edges to maybe like 24 pixels. That's way too much. We'll do 8. We'll do something like that for now. It doesn't look pretty, but that's more on me and my preparation and not the design. But what we're going to do is remove the height from the repeater item. We're going to grab the section itself. We're going to remove the height. And for this, we want to make sure that this is centered and does not have margin. And we should have something that looks like this. And I think it looks pretty clean. I will say maybe we need to add a little bit more space here. So maybe instead of 5.6, we do something like, we'll do it like 11.2 or something. Just so it's a little bit, just so it gives it a little bit more space here. Perfect. For the next section, we are going to build kind of like a list of features, I guess. So for this, just like we did with the section above, we're going to add 5.6 VW as the padding, and we will apply that to all sides. For the section itself, I do think we're going to go with like a lighter gray background color. And let's also make this one pretty large for now. Inside of this, we are going to want to have some text, and we're going to want to have some sort of way to lay out tools like a layouter. I don't think it's called a layouter here in Wix Studio. That might just be my Wix Studio brain working. But for now, let's go ahead and add 2 rows because we're going to want to have some text here at the top. And then on the bottom, we're going to want to have that layouter. For this top area, let's start by adding like a heading 1 text, or heading 6 text, sorry. We'll add this one here. It's going to be pretty small, but this one's going to say online payments. We will set this to hug, and we'll send this to the top left. Underneath that, let's go ahead and add a heading 2. So this one is kind of going to be like, for me, I usually use heading 2s to kind of help label sections, I guess. Heading 1 is good for like labeling your pages, whereas heading 2s and the other headings typically are good for labeling like these sections. So that's a good way to think about those. But for this text, we're going to say optimize your checkout experience. And I'm going to expand this, set the responsive behavior to hug, and I'm going to move this underneath our online payments here. And also for this text, I do want to make this like a darker gray, not a straight black. I think it looks pretty clean like that. Perfect. And then we'll also just add a paragraph, which I'm not going to add the text for again, just to save us some time. But we're going to send this to the left, and we'll expand this out a little bit as well. Okay. Let's move this a little bit closer to the heading text, and we'll grab all of the items here. We'll stack them. And then once we have that done, we can grab the cell, and we can basically remove the height just by dragging this up to the top. Now, obviously, I do want to have a little bit of space in between the content in this cell and this cell. So if we come over to the layout tab over here, let's add like a 5.6 VW gap, just like that. I think that looks good. And now we can start working on the content here. Inside of this, I believe it's going to be under layout tools and flex boxes. There it is. And we're going to add this one right here. I believe these work exactly how layouters did in Wix or in Editor X. So if you are familiar with them, then you already kind of know how they work. But I will say, for this layouter, I mean, I do want to add a little bit more space. So maybe something like 24 pixels in between the items looks a little bit cleaner. Okay. And then inside of it, I think I just created like I made the whole card an image. So let's go ahead and see what I actually did here. Yes, I did. So we're going to add card 2. right over here to this one. So let's go ahead and resize it. I'm going to place it in here. I'm going to send it to the top left. And I'm going to size it to where it fills up the box. Perfect. Okay. Now for the second card, or this one over here, let's add card 1. We'll put this over here. We'll send it to the top left. And I do apologize because my computer is being so slow right now. I don't know why, but my computer's just seemingly been getting worse over time for some reason. I'm not sure why. But what I will say is I want these to kind of be the same height. So we might have to adjust the spacing a little bit. Like maybe this one can be like 40%. And then this one down here can be like 50%. And I just want this to be 100% of the box. So we'll go ahead and change that. And then we'll come into this settings and let's see if we can reset the bounding box. Better. Okay. Let's see if we can get this one to match the height now. Okay, now this one's too big. Okay. This is going to take a little bit of trial and error, so I appreciate your patience. So maybe we went a little bit too crazy. Maybe we'll do like 35. And then let's see. We're getting really close. But let's grab the item again. Let's do like 33. I feel like there is probably a better way of doing this. And if you guys have a better idea for doing it, let me know in the comments below. I'd actually be interested to learn that. I actually don't really use I never really use like in Editor X. I never use like the layouters all that often. So I will never call myself a pro at these. But there we go. I think 32 and 50 ended up being like the perfect match for us here. And then let's go ahead and do that down here as well. I will say we might need to add a little bit more room here just temporarily. Just so we have room to add the other items here. And honestly, it might just be easier if I copy this image, paste it down here, and then send it to the top left. And then change the image out really quickly. And then I also need to adjust these. So I think I did 32 for this one. And I did 50 for this one. Okay, now let's grab this image here. And we'll paste it into here. I think I messed up. I didn't copy the image. Let's make sure we copy the image. Then we paste the image into this box. Send it to the middle and top. Let's go ahead and change it out really quickly. So now that we have this part done, let's go ahead and remove the background color from the layouter items. Okay. And now what I want to do is grab the height of the section and remove it. Now we should have something that looks like this, and I think that looks pretty clean. I will say this image is not quite long enough, so I'm just going to kind of cheat it a little bit and do that. And then there seems to be a lot of height here, so let's go ahead and make sure that these images here don't have like a margin on the bottom. Doesn't seem like there is. So let's see how we can fix this. Let's set this back to 0. See if that changes it. Doesn't look like it did. Let me see if I just kind of manually move it up. Nope. So something is kind of messing things up. There's no height to these. Oh, maybe it's the maximum content. We'll just set these to auto. Let's do that for this one as well. Maybe it's the layouter itself. I don't know. This is weird. I haven't seen this issue before. We'll give it a couple more minutes of trying this out. Otherwise, we'll just go ahead and move on to the next section. Just to save us a little bit of time here. But basically, I'm just checking all the items, seeing if there's height. I also want to make sure that there's like no margin on any of the items inside of it. But yeah, I don't really know what's causing this, and I can't really think of anything else to check. So, if y'all use layouters, let me know what you guys would check, because yeah, I don't really know what's causing this right now. But for now, let's just move on to the next section. For this section, we are gonna kind of make it similar to the one up here. And actually, it might just be easier if we copy this section, because this section is gonna kind of be a little bit similar in the sense that there is gonna be some text over here on the left, an image on the right, and then something down here below. But one thing, like I kind of mentioned earlier in the video, you want to make sure you only have one heading 1 per page. So when you select this text, you can come over to theme and press heading 2, and it's going to change the design completely. You also want to make sure that the HTML tag is also set to H2 as well. Okay, and then I'm going to grab these 3 elements, stack them together, make sure the stack is centered, and let's go ahead and change this text really quick. I'm going to get rid of the second button here. And this button, instead of open an account, it's going to say learn more. Okay, and then for this image, I think it's going to be this one right here with the different countries listed and their little earth inside of it. Okay. And then for this container, Let's go ahead and expand this down a little bit. That way, this has a little bit more room inside of it. Let's grab this cell and let's raise this up a little bit just so we have more room in this cell to work. I'm going to delete this container inside of it. And then what I want to do is add a repeater. So let's go over to quick add. Let's go to repeater. We'll drag this out. And we will stretch this. I do want to add like a 24 pixel gap here. And then for the design, let's make the background white. Oh, for the items, the background should be white. Let's add a 1 pixel border, and we'll make it like 20 pixel or 20% opacity, just so it's like a lighter border. Doing this without cutting out mistakes actually makes it a little bit harder, but it's also kind of fun. So we're going to add 5% padding on these items. And then we will apply that to all sides. And maybe if that 5% is actually not enough. Man, my computer is going so slow. Oh my goodness. Okay. But for now, we'll just rock with the 5%. Let's go over to media. I'm going to press show more, and I'm just going to add one of these icons here. For this icon, I actually like the size that it currently is, so I'm just going to set this to a fixed sizing. Send this to the top left of this box. Where'd it go? It was not in the repeater, so it just disappeared on me. So let's make sure we put it in the repeater. Then we'll send it to the top left of the repeater item. Oh man. Okay, I might just have to drag it manually then. I don't know what's going on with my computer, but underneath that, we're going to add a little bit of text. So let's grab like a heading 6. We'll drag this out. With this heading 6, we'll set the responsive behavior to hug. We'll send it to the left. And let's go ahead and move it right underneath the little icon. And then the last thing we will add here is just a little paragraph text. I'm going to resize it a little bit, move it right here, and then I'm going to grab all 3 of these elements here. We'll stack them together. And now what I can do is make sure that the repeater item doesn't have like a height attached to it, which it does. So we'll go ahead and set this to 0. And then we'll grab the section. And we'll set this to 0 as well. Yeah. Okay, sorry. I kind of blinked out. I want to make this space a little bit less here, so we'll go ahead and set this to like 5.6 VW, because I don't want it to be as much space as we had up here, because this is technically supposed to be in reference to this and not kind of be its own thing. But I'm not going to go ahead and replace everything. With how slow my computer is moving right now, I just kind of want to go ahead and get on to the last section that we're going to build, and it's just going to be like a simple call to action. So for this, we're going to add 5.6 VW as its padding. We'll apply that to all sides. Inside of this section, we're going to just add a simple container. And this container, we are going to stretch it. And for the design, let's go ahead and set this to our like dark green. And for this section, I think I just want to grab this stack right here. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to paste this stack. I'm going to center the items. So I have something that looks like this. For this main text here, I do want this to be like our heading 5 font, and it's going to be really big and white to counteract the background, which is already a dark color. And we'll change this to simplifying payments, growing businesses. For growing business, and then simplifying. Okay. I'm also going to do something like this, and we'll make sure it's centered. In the stack, we'll center the items, and we'll center the stack inside of the box. And then last but not least, for this button, let's change this back to open an account. Perfect. And can we figure this out? I don't know. Let's see. Columns heights are all the same. I really don't know what's going on here. This might be one of those things where you just need to like delete it and then try to rebuild it. But as slow as my computer is moving, probably not gonna happen. But if we just go ahead and preview the website and take a look at it, despite my mistakes and the slow editor or the slow computer, this is the website, and I think it looks really, really clean. If you guys like it, let me know in the comments below. And if you like seeing these uncut videos and stuff like that, let me know in the comments below as well. And I'll try to do more of them. Hopefully get a better computer in the near future that can handle this kind of stuff. But if you are celebrating Christmas or just had it, or one of your other holidays, let me know how those were in the comments below. And yeah, this is gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you all did enjoy, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel for more Wix and Wix Studio content coming out really soon. Thank you all again, and I will see you on the next one.